Hey, so on this video, let's talk about how to prepare a caregiver who has to step in and take care of your adult autistic child with their routines to help them understand the routines. All right, let's get into it. Hey, everybody, my name is Ben Blackman. This is the After Us Project, and man, routines, right? So, ironically, just a little background, my son Evan, he he's very adaptable to routines, and it's a good thing because between myself and his mom, my ex-wife, we the way we handle things is very chaotic, and he's been very adaptable, and in some ways I think that's really helped prepare him. But there are routines, obviously, that if somebody had to step in, like, say there was, I went to the emergency room, which I have twice actually, in the last, well, since Evan's been alive, and had to do that. If somebody had to step in and take care of him, and his mom wasn't around, another caregiver wasn't around, then they need to know. And so, if you're incapacitated or something happens to you, you want them to know the routines. So you might know it like the back of your hand. That's not a problem. But if you're not there, that's the problem. Okay. So caregivers aren't just going to be able to guess. They're not going to be able to step in and do it right immediately. We're just trying to offset some of the issues, especially if your child, like mine, struggles with communication. So that's what's important, because obviously they're not going to be able to tell them. So best thing to do is print out just kind of a little one-page thing about their base routines. All right. Real quick, if you like this kind of stuff, if this is helpful, please subscribe. I would love it if you did, and I'll make more of it. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. So I've got a little list here. I wanted to create my own list to tell you how to create a list. How about that? So let's include what to include in a routine snapshot. So things like the daily schedule overview of a typical day. Wake up times, meals, rest times, bedtime. You want to put those things down so that they know generally what happens there. Meals and eating. Obviously, what are their favorite meals, food routines, any sensory aversions, mealtime rituals. What food will they definitely not eat? What food do they like? Like my son Evan, he loves green drink, and all it is a kale smoothie that I make every day, fresh kale and pineapple, more or less. And he'll ask for it. That's what he's talking about. Well, he might say green drink, but the caregiver doesn't know exactly what he's talking about. So something like that. Other thing are key activities, daily tasks, jobs, therapy, screen time patterns, those kinds of things. Unfortunately, my son watches his tablet a lot. I mean a lot. And, I want to be able to explain that to him, that's what he's kind of used to. Now, you can, give me a hard time if that's a bad thing or good thing or whatever, and I get it, but nevertheless, that's what happens, and I don't feel good about it, and I have done some things to help kind of curb that, but for now, that's the way that it is. So if I was gone right now, I would want somebody to know that. That's my point. Sometimes I can't get to the point. Calming rituals. So what helps in stressful moments? Outings, visitors, bedtime, that kind of thing. Maybe he needs a 5-minute warning before transitions. Now, my son doesn't need that. I just tell him, hey, this is what's going to happen, and it happens. But I know that's not true for a lot of people. So the other thing is what not to do. And major triggers, which I talked about in another video, preferences, those kinds of things. Like, don't just, wake him up, or, I don't know, whatever, suddenly or something like that. So then once you create all this, then you want to keep it pinned, like, put it on your fridge, or keep it somewhere where people who come in will access it easily. Might keep a copy of it in your car. Evan and I, we ride in the car a lot. Whew, man, I have put 30,000 miles in less than 2 years on my car, just because he likes to ride in the car. So guess where this is? That's one of the places. So you want to make sure that you have that available for whoever has to step in. And remember, you don't need a fancy system. That's not what this is. This is keeping it simple, just to kind of make the transition easier. Okay, hopefully that was helpful a little bit. And again, I would appreciate if you subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.